So welcome to the MaxVac wet and dry 80 litre dust extractor. This machine can be used either wet with a sponge blue filter or dry with a pleated filter paper. It's fitted with a floor bar which allows you, just like its big brother the AS170, to be able to vacuum rather than sweep. So no more brooms, no more sending dust from the floor up into the air. The idea is to capture it while it's on the floor. So again, you'll see the floor bar is really nicely fitted and is more than the width of the DV80. So the models of DV80 you have at Fortune brand are 230 volt. We wouldn't necessarily, and particularly when wet, suggest using an RCD between the 3-pin plug that's fitted and the wall socket. To get the full 10 meters of cable is really very easy to achieve because the hook is rotatable. So what I'm able to do quite quickly is to remove the whole 10 meters, and now I can walk away from here and plug that into, as I say, we recommend an RCD. Once we come back down through the cable, and it is worth occasionally checking these that nobody has damaged them, particularly if you have a wet area on the floor. Obviously that should be taken out of service immediately if that's the case, if there is any damage. The power comes back in and feeds two motors within the head of the DV80, but they are operated on a single on and off switch. This machine is very, very simple in that it has an off position and an on position. So in terms of operator interaction, really that's about the only thing you can do other than using either the flexible wand or the floor bar for cleaning up. One thing to take note of though is the amber light just above the power switch. Being an M-class dust extractor, it's a legal requirement that you have a warning should the filters become blocked. So should this amber light come on, it is telling you to stop using the product, at which point you would need to check from the floor bar to the hose to the inlet to the fleece bag, and then lastly the main filter. What we tend to find is that if you follow that procedure, floor bar, hose, inlet, bag, internal bag, and lastly filter, what you're likely to do is to then find the blockage before you come to the more expensive replacement, which is the main filter. If you're using the fleece bags, as you should receive approximately 12 months usage from the main filter. If you use the DV80 for wet use with the dry filter, you will ruin that filter immediately. So to check for blockages, remove the smaller cuff for the DV80, and again you would push downwards if there's a blockage at this point. You can remove the main hose, and again check at the back here if there's any blockage here, and also on the inlet here. Sometimes what can happen is that if you pick up a longer piece of wood, it comes into here and it sits across the safety elbow at the rear, and that's an area where blockages may occur. If there is no blockage to this point, then you would undo the clips on either side and lift the head with the filter unit out of the way. We can inspect the bag and the drum. In this instance, the we can see that this has been used wet or without the first M-class bag. The bag itself we can remove when they're full, and there is a cap which will enclose that so that we don't breathe in any of the dust as we move the bag around. For the sake of today, I'm going to explain for you that these bags are likely to become blocked before they're full, and this is due to the capacity of this product at 80 litres. And so you can see here how the bag is beginning to block, but you can also see the micro meshes, etc., that we use to delay that process. For this instance, I'm going to seal this bag up and show you how to fit a new bag. So the bags come flat, and it's really important before you fit them into the DV80 that you open the bag. So you don't want this to be folded flat. Open the corners and make sure that air can get into it. If you can't get air into this, it can't work. This then is laid into the 80 nice and gently, and we let the bottom drop, and the collar goes around the inlet elbow and locks into place. So this now is nicely fitted, and it can also accept the main filter in this area. To inspect the main filter, you literally do it as a visual inspection. You're checking for any damage. If, for example, it has been used wet, what you would see is that these pleats are deformed and possibly even broken. That filter would need replacing immediately. To remove and replace the filter, we undo the screw on the base, and the filter can be slid away. It's relevant at this point that I also have the wet filter. Inside here is a ball valve, and so if I were collecting water, then the water would come up, lift the ball valve, and as the machine became full, it would block the flow and the amber light would come on. To fit the wet filter, I remove the dry filter and I place the blue sponge over the head, slide it down fully into position so that it's seated on the top shoulder nicely. So you can see there, this isn't too tight, it's not too loose, it's nicely in place. So now I've gone from dry operation. Of course I wouldn't use the fleece bag, I've just shown you how to fit that for purposes to maintain it. So without the fleece bag, but with the wet filter, I can now pick up water. An absolutely superb feature of the DV80 is that, unlike smaller dust extractors where you might be able to lift 20 litres of water, with this product you won't be able to lift 80 litres of water. And so if I tip this back, what you'll see on the underside is a tap fitted into the bottom. So if I have used this wet, I'm able to release the tap, park this over a drain, release any water that's in there, and then close the tap again. So just as its big brother, the AS170, on the DV80 we have a plastic wand set and floor bar. The floor bar has 3 interchangeable heads. However, the squeegee head is the one that I would recommend you use at Fortune brands. The hose is a bayonet fitting. As you saw me disconnect the floor bar earlier, This can now be connected in the reverse way. Coming through the hose, we have the ergo handle, and the ergo handle is designed to fit to the wand, and it also gives us a little bit of adjustable power. So if I were vacuuming somewhere quite delicate, then what I'm able to do is to open the sleeve here and have a bypass air here rather than getting full suction here. The ergo wand can also be used with other accessories that come with the DV80, and so there is a floor nozzle for wet use for going into corners. There is a crevice nozzle for getting into awkward and small spaces, and just like the Big Brother, there's also a brush which connects on and would allow us to use it almost as an agitator to get any collected dust.